let's see, record. And like I said, this one doesn't need to be that long. Like if it's a 20-minute episode, I'm just gonna put out with the
Um,
door cons. So
I really didn't do any like writing of
I
trivia or
didn't.
anything.
Okay, well, Brian's got his story, so we'll.
Brian the Brain has
I've
entered the
got
podcast.
I've got the IMDb here I can read from basically.
Okay, and it is September 13th when people are hearing this. It's airing in 3 days, so you can
Nice.
push on that when you do your intro or whatever.
Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast about Space 1999. It's a message from Mark
And
Base.
a Moonbase from Matt.
And what's that leave me again? Alpha. I'm an alpha.
Was it beta? Moonbase beta? You can be Moonbase
There was a
beta.
Moonbase beta in
I
one of the
know
books.
that was the one with all the rejects on it, right?
No, they're
Yeah, I
nice.
think
They're
we
really
got
nice.
we got some people from there we could have done without, like Sanderson.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. For folks wondering, we're doing a quick double podcast here, and we have to all change our backgrounds if you're doing this on YouTube, which a few people do it on YouTube. We have comments on YouTube. Yay!
I did not change my background.
Who's that?
It's
our
Sean. He's
sister
lurking.
I was
If any-
trying to introduce him, and everybody was like talking about a bunch of hundred other things.
I thought he was just going to lurk
Yeah.
and he wasn't going to say anything.
I'm a stowaway. I'm a stowaway.
He's a
You won't hear much
stowaway.
from me.
These are
Go away on Moonbase Alpha while it like powers down.
Tabor, is that you? Did you come back?
Yes.
but
At
yes,
least
message.
he's not the dragon. I guess that'd be worse.
I guess this is the last film. This is the last filmed content for anything Space 1999 involved.
Not so much. There was the return of Victor Bergman a
Was
couple
that
years
after?
later.
Oh, that was after.
It was like 3 years after this, but
okay.
it's a little bit I don't know. There wasn't a lot to talk about. It was a lot of like footage of actors talking from the original show with new footage of Barry Morse talking to them, so it's kind of weird and awkward. Like I love the guy and he did a great job, but it was such a weird like structure. Not like this, which is classy.
It is classy, and I've seen it before. I guess it's on the DVDs. But I definitely, had the I'm watching a fan film vibe watching it last night, which it is, right? It's fan film where you get the original actor. But I'm like, I guess we've been watching so much Space 1999 and thinking so much about production. Now I'm like, oh, there's one's very small set and some clips, and that's it. And some archival footage, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, it's basically there was a mock-up set that was made by a fan of the series, and the Jerry Anderson fan club, which is called Fanderson, had previously covered the mock-up set in an article, and someone as it says, someone suggested that the set be utilized for the director of this isn't even listed, so I don't even know who filmed this. But Johnny Byrne did write it, so
okay,
it's got like real credit. But yeah, basically they decided Xenia Merton because she was in the UK and everyone else in the series were in LA, including Nick Tate.
And she didn't look too old at this point, whereas I'm guessing those other people probably don't look like they did in 1976.
It's a mixed bag. Prentice Hancock, I watched some footage of the convention where they aired this. There's part of the agreement.
Only someone here could give us firsthand information about that.
Yeah.
They could have done that.
Anyway, yes, there was an agreement made that the short would never be broadcast again ever anywhere, and
except on YouTube.
It did anyway. It ended up on a DVD. But yeah, there were Prentice Hancock was looking pretty good at the time, and
yeah, it's on the DVDs. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's where it did get released. I don't know. They must have negotiated the rights between the music and the footage that they used to put it on the A&E DVDs. And
if you're using music and footage from the show that you're putting out on a DVD, it seems like it shouldn't be too much trouble to do the rights.
Yeah, but the original agreement was never to speak of this again. No.
Yeah.
Play Fatal video games.
Well, do you want to hear about the day it aired, or the day
yes.
Can you do an old
So
man voice? Let me tell you about the day it aired. Sorry, you don't
it
have
was
to do that.
September 13th, 1999.
25 years ago.
Yes, it was 25 years ago. And there was a convention held in Culver City, California called Breakaway Con. And it had almost everyone you can imagine, with the exception of, sadly, Catherine Schell couldn't make it. Martin Landau was supposed to make it, but he got called away strangely at the last minute. Um, Supposedly to do some post work for Sleepy Hollow, a film he was in for like 3 minutes at the beginning of the film. So I don't know what they needed him for.
What a
Like
major
Foley
Hollywood
sound.
production.
Yeah, it was
Hmm.
yeah, it was Tim Burton, Sleepy Hollow. He was in the opening of it. And he did it as a favor, I think, to repay him for was it Ed Wood, I guess?
Got him that
Yeah, yeah.
Oscar.
He just won that Oscar. He said, "Yeah, okay, I'll do a cameo at the beginning of Sleepy Hollow," because that's the only thing that was in production at the time. So I imagine that's what it was. I was sad that he wasn't there. Barbara Bain only showed up to her fan club, so she wasn't in the con per se, but she did do a reading of love letters with Barry Morse on Saturday night, and so you had to pay an extra $20 or something. So I did get to see Barbara Bain and Barry Morse perform this play. And then the con ended on Monday because it was September 13th. And in the closing ceremonies that afternoon, one of the organizers of the convention said, "Can you please put away all your cameras or video equipment?" And he gave some excuse for why they needed to do that. He didn't say straight up that something was going to happen, but he was continuing to talk, and then suddenly the big screen TV behind him lit up, and it was message from Moonbase Alpha. You got static, and we were all like, "What is this?" And it's like, "Oh, there's Xenia." It's like, "Oh my God." And everybody, the crowd started to go wild a bit, but they were also trying to shut up so they could hear what she was saying. And she gave her speech about the fate of Moonbase Alpha. And then it was all over, and the music ran, and thunderous applause, and everybody applauded Xenia. She was there in the audience, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was the last thing you expected to see was a mini episode of a show that went off the air 25 years ago.
Yeah,
From
actually so the idea is you're staying there, and it's like the Disney World thing where you're getting it's supposed to be receiving a message. They weren't like, here's a film that we're putting on. They were trying to theme it up a bit, were they?
Yeah, there was like, "Oh, we're here." Well, I didn't I have to show you some pictures, but the backdrop was kind of a big sort of wall of main mission or command center with, a mock screen and all sorts of flashing lights and things on it. I've got photographs of it I can show you, but and a door that said command center over it to walk in. So that was the backdrop. I heard that people who built or donated the backdrop didn't want it back, and so they said, "If you want this, come get it, take it home with you." And I'm like, I don't have a truck. I don't think I can haul this away, but it was pretty cool set. Maybe I
You
should
look
have
so
just
cool
asked
walking
for
down
it.
the street with it, though.
Yeah.
But there was a moment in that video which is on YouTube. You can watch. It's about an hour long of the panelists. I didn't get to watch all of it because I didn't find it in time to watch all of it. But it sounded like they were saying that Xenia Merton had never been to the U.S. before that con. Does that sound accurate?
That sounds familiar.
Possible.
They may have said that.
Pretty wild.
Yeah, she spent her entire career over in Europe, so don't think she had any reason to come over here. I certainly don't recall seeing her in anything filmed in America.
Talking about the episode a little directly, the content of the episode, I kind of felt like, now, watching this after the whole series now, and I'm like, they kind of played the stock market game really bad. It's like when you buy your stock and you just, well, they were given stock in this case because the moon went out of orbit, but yeah, you just keep waiting for, you're trying to wait for the perfect time to sell, and then at the end you just have to sell it at a time when it's like not worth that much, because there were so many planets. The Devil's Planet, they could have put some orange cones around the pile of corpses and lived there like 20 years earlier, because they're saying, "Oh, our systems are failing. Basically, we got to jump Moonbase now, and hopefully this works."
But thanks for the synopsis there, Matt, because that was all we really got.
Okay.
He basically told us all that
Yeah, that's yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
Paul.
technically your job. I was like, yeah, you're doing two
Yeah.
sentences, and I just accidentally did it. So there we go.
Yeah,
And Paul is dead.
Paul is dead.
I guess they made that point. Yes.
They do. She made the voice that Victor's dead too, right? So
Yes.
that one of the one a little later contradicts.
She
this
bids
one.
adieu to a lot of people who are no longer around, including Luke and Anna, who aren't technically dead. They're just on
Yeah, she doesn't know what's up
right?
with them. They're dead by now. Come on, there's two more skeletons at the table now.
Yeah.
Or on the table. Ooh la la.
Maybe what if that was the fan film?
Just a still image, and that two skeletons
two
now have
extra
like tattered Moonbase uniforms on them.
Yes. And it's just that with that music playing that was like
nah, you can put full disco, man. You can give them the season 2 theme.
okay, so it's that, but then halfway through, after like 3 minutes, then Balor just busts in and he's like screaming. He's like, "Damn you, Koenig!" And he starts smashing the skeletons. How about that?
Sure, why not? There's so many ways you could do this, I guess, in the end. But the way they chose was Zenia Merton talks to you for a few minutes, and then there's some clips, and she walks away. Which, you know, that I guess that's the thing. Like, maybe that's why they were like, just show it once and never again. Because in the context of that convention, it's amazing. Watching it at home on YouTube now, it's like, it feels a little ham-fisted. It's fine. It's nice, you know.
It gives you a bookend. It gives you, well, it was also later touted as a possible jumping off point for a sequel, because they said the moon will be back around to our new home, Terra Alpha, in like 25 years, and
which is now.
Yeah, right now.
Coming back.
The moon is coming back, and it might be necessary to leave Terra Alpha, which they said they never really got to explore. They just said, well, it seems promising and we don't have
That's
a choice.
what I'm saying,
so
with the bad stock market game, right? And they've lost. So Landau is a bad gambler.
That gives you an opportunity to basically say goodbye to the old cast, have a whole new crew of Alphans, and they go jump onto the moon and start wandering the cosmos once more. So. I'll tell you what, the script was sold. They had like a charity auction, and Johnny Byrne's actual script that Xenia had, and probably autographed by all of them, it's sold. Guess how much it sold for? $1,999.
Nice. That's awesome.
That was going to be better. Be depressed. $19.99.
$19.99.
Yes.
I immediately go for like an insane amount of money. Like, I don't think you wouldn't even have to pay $30,000 for like the script from the original show with Martin Landau's writing in it.
Those would be fun to have.
Oh,
like you,
yeah.
I want to see that.
Did any of you guys want to put out any other observations on the couple minutes of this? I mean, there's not that much to observe, right?
Not that much to observe.
I love that they couldn't help but put a crazy idea like the moon will slingshot back to Earth. Like that made me go like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a pretty Johnny Byrne idea, I guess.
Yeah,
yeah, it's great. I feel like Xenia Merton's accent has become more like Marlene Dietrich's at this point. She probably couldn't remember how to do the accent.
Maybe that's where I got a bit of the theme park vibe as well, you know? Because I was kind of thinking like like this is like the room where you're about to get into the simulator, right? And then the ride is a simulator eagle and onto that planet.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of what it feels like, you know? Yeah, like you are getting on the last eagle, and now your simulator will take you to the Terra Nova, or what was it called? Is that right?
Terra Alpha.
Terra Alpha.
Terra Alpha. That makes sense, doesn't it? Oh, Terra Nova was the dinosaurs show.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. Showing and watch Terra Nova.
No, I didn't.
Nope.
Why, who's that dashing young man in the photo?
Wow. Awesome.
There I am.
You definitely look like
5 years ago.
You definitely look like someone who might or might not die in an episode of Space 1999.
I may or may not be blowing up the moon right now by pushing that button.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What if the simulator was like you're on Earth in the year 2024 and the moon is coming back and you're just surrounded by people screaming because they don't know what the moon is?
What if the moon actually collides with the planet this time, and then for real?
I mean, it seems possible. Nobody's firing thrusters or anything.
Yeah.
I guess the people on Earth left on Earth sort of knew what was going on, so they probably would have just seen it coming.
So this has a Johnny Bird script. We mentioned Victor and Paul. I guess we throw the first season question onto message to Moonbase Alpha. How much of this is sci-fi fun and how much is existential dread? Because this does seem more of a piece with season 1 than 2. Like they kind of go out of their way to do that, I think, and as they probably should. But so let's go for your fun versus dread, which is weird in this one because now you have to put it in the context of the convention too. So Brian goes first.
At the convention, it was 100% fun because wow, look at what we just saw. In the context of the show, I guess it's probably 60 or 70% dread because they're going into an unknown future. And I don't know, we didn't discuss the Twilight Zone twist at the end when the encoded signal that Maya sent back to Earth for us to see turned out to be the meta signal from episode 1. Dun dun dun. That's what it was the whole time.
Right. Well,
if only we understood what it was. We couldn't decode it.
Self-fulfilling prophecies.
It was. It's a time loop. We were talking about time loops a little while ago. It's another time loop.
Mark, you got percentages for this
80% dread. Pretty much, I think Brian made about every point I wanted to make. Is the future is scary. The moon coming back is scary. Paul being dead is scary. Victor Bergman being dead is scary.
He was pretty old.
Yeah, but I'm still scared. I'm scared without him.
No,
I wish he was here to hold
I
me.
think I'll agree more with Mark. But that's why throughout the whole like, oh, being at the convention would make this very different. It's a lot more fun if you were there, right? Whereas, you know, Mark and I watch it, and after 10 minutes of thinking about it, we're like, oh yeah, they're not. She's, you know, like she's very charming, but when you think about their situation, they're kind of screwed at this point.
we knew this. Well,
Very
we knew
likely
this.
screwed.
We knew this short existed before we watched any of the series, or at least I did.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I'd seen it
It's sort
before.
of, it's like that thing where, oh, I don't want to do Voyager spoilers, but there's sort of a thing where you see a version of what might happen with Voyager where it takes them like a long time to go to Earth, and it is scary. The concept of it.
Right.
However, that version of Janeway is my favorite.
Okay. That's
canonically.
cool.
that one. Anyway.
Okay. So yeah, it does get back to the season 1 dread a bit, which is kind of fun because season 2, I think there were a few where I was like, oh man, like Burgers of Wonder, that was one to whip out the old question, but this one that seems to be a pretty keen fit. So I guess we are almost saying goodbye to Moonbase Alpha here, though we will be putting all episodes in brackets. 48 makes perfect sense for a college basketball style bracket system. So we're going to do the final 4 for the entire show in the next week or 2 or something. So
it's going to be really long, isn't it?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know.
Is it just us or is anybody else?
It's just us. Actually, yeah. I don't know if it's too much like, you know, sauce behind the counter talk, but I was talking to Mike and I was like, yeah, I can invite people because I need to invite 2 people. I can't invite 1 person because there has to be an odd number so we can, you know, vote. And I was like,
you have to,
there's 5, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
It's going to take forever with 5. So yeah, it's just going to be the regs for that.
Yeah, and it has to be 2 people who have watched the entire series recently, which I don't know if any of our guests have done that. If you are a guest and have watched all of them recently, then you're really cool. But
Sean, get busy.
But
I knew there's a reason you had him over here.
I fell asleep on Moonbase Alpha.
Last Eagle's gone. Maybe 1 person could survive for 25 years on Moonbase Alpha. I mean, they got enough life support for 1, right? Maybe.
Yeah, but you'd have green sickness or something, right?
Oh, right. Well, you'd watch TV until you'd strap yourself to a chair and force yourself to watch nature footage for 3 days straight. Because that's what people do when they're stuck on a base by themselves for 30 years, 25 years.
Yeah, on a 19-inch CRT.
There's the sequel series. That's Red Dwarf, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just explained Red Dwarf there.
I'm pitching a sequel series. Just do it with Super Marionation.
Yeah, sure.
You know what? Screw it. just do it. Just do the same damn thing and do it with marionettes, and then just
And
do
then
different
later on, there'll be a
stories.
live action remake, and it'll still be Space 1999, but it'll be like the year 2050.
We can
when
do
that
the
comes
spin
out.
off of this one 25 years later when the moon comes back, right? So we'll
Yeah.
call it on Thursday. We'll leave for Alpha.
All right.
Hey Brian, was anybody playing their Dreamcast at this convention? Because the Dreamcast had been out for like a week when that convention happened.
I couldn't tell you. I don't recall seeing the Dreamcast. Saw a lot of people in polyester. There were people at the Saturday night disco wearing disco clothes.
Yeah, there might be a bit of
Cool.
the Venn diagram there between Space 1999 people and Dreamcast people may have not been. I mean, I'm sure there's a few.
I'm the only one. I'm the only one.
We're the only one. I still call the Dreamcast the best console ever. So
Yep, it kind of is.
okay. Anyway, yes, come on back for the final four. Mark made a theme already, so it'll have that that sports night excitement.
Mark made a theme. Gotta come back for that.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna come back for now. Everyone knows what's gonna happen, so they're not gonna come back.
But who knows what the final four will be, and the master of
We all
Space
know.
19. We have no
You know
clue.
what they're gonna be. I know exactly what they're gonna be. I'm gonna call it right now.
Hey, but
No,
we
I'm
don't
not.
know. We have to vote on.
Not.
No, round one theoretically goes very quickly, and then round 2 and 3 gets a little pickier, and then hopefully we're screaming at each other by the end. That's what I'm hoping for. Just like Landau would.
Yeah. I mean, I know what
WWLD. Get those
Yeah.
bracelets. Or should it be K? I don't know. No, I
I'm
want to
sorry to say you do not get Landau screaming in the Twilight Zone. So sorry about that.
No.
You get him in the Twilight Zone, but
No,
he's not
I know he's
screaming.
coming soon, but he's not screaming. That's too bad. Did he scream in well, he was doing that cowboy speak in Mr. Denton on Doomsday. He was the threatening cowboy guy. He had yeah. So I've seen some satisfying Landau in the Twilight Zone already. Speaking of the Twilight Zone, we do lots of podcasts. You could support them and us on Patreon at Podcastius. Of course, there's this, sometimes with us talking for 15 minutes at the beginning about God knows what. There is, that's the Twilight Zone. We got Time Enough podcast. There is Films and Filth, talking about really good movies and really bad movies, according to IMDb user votes. And there's Game Stuff with Luke Loves Pokemon, the Game Show, and Monster Mash. Okay. I think I'm getting some kind of meta signal.
Oh,
Morphing
it says
signal.
that the Podcastius Patreon is going to slingshot back to Earth and will collide with it in the year 2049.
All right. Okay, that does it. That should be fine for that. I'll hit the